Hi, Kshitij. This is Umair. I am a host on Better Tech, and in this show, I just talk to founders, C-level guys like you, and try to understand their startup, their journey, and about their product and how they are trying to change the world. So it's a conversational kind of a thing. So let's hear your story, and let's start by you introducing yourself, a little bit about your company and your position in the company.
First of all, thank you, Vijay. I think you're doing brilliant stuff. Thank you for having me here. Let me quickly start with my intro and 100MS intro. My kind of journey started as an engineer, right? So I've been working in the industry for almost like 20 years now. The interesting part is like I've been following video all of my life. So I started working with Tkxel instruments. This was like almost 20 years back. I was working on chipsets which enabled video back then. 2007, I joined a startup where we were trying to kind of play video on a Nokia phone. And those are small phones. I think you must have seen that. 2010, I moved to United States. There we were trying to play video on a 3G network.
Okay.
That was a startup again. And 2016, I joined Facebook. That's where I would say the growth started. Before this, it was all, I think video was not the thing at that time. Till that time, in Facebook, I was a lead product manager for a product called Facebook Live. And that product like skyrocketed like anything, 10% growth, we go, amazing growth. Moved back to India due to some family things, joined this company called Disney Plus Hotstar, which is like the largest streaming provider. We worked really hard there, like broke some world records, like almost like a 24 million single match getting streamed. It was not India, Pakistan, by the way. It was India, New Zealand. But it was like the concurrency numbers were like amazing, right? Like,
I mean, had it been an India-Pakistan match, it would have been through the roof. I mean,
yeah. Every time there was an India-Pakistan match, we were like all night praying that, oh, hey, nothing breaks, right? Started this company in 2020, right in the middle of pandemic. And it so happened that, so I had a good circle of CEOs and CTOs who I keep talking to, consulting with, right? And almost everybody, all of them were trying to figure out their video strategy. And I used to consult them how to help them and all that. Like few of them told me that, hey, instead of just telling us, giving us gyan, basically, why don't you build something, right? And that's when this idea kind of got started, that being at these big companies, I knew what it takes to build video infrastructure. It's a massive investment, lot of very specific hiring, right? And all the kind of startups where video is not the focus, they were kind of struggling how to build such an infra, right? So that is the mission of the company, like democratize video API, video infrastructure, provide the same kind of reliability and the scale which these big companies have, so that everybody in the world can kind of build video. That's who I am. That's what the company is doing.
So what's the name of the company? It sounds like an interesting name, kind of 100 millisecond or something. So what's the story over there?
Yeah. So it's called 100ms. It's actually 100 milliseconds. I would say this is the tent pole of our company. We might never achieve it, but this is what we want to achieve, that like lowest latency possible in your video interactions.
Okay, what's the current latency, average latency?
Current is around 250, but there is a very golden rule. This was done by YouTube creator. So this guy said like any lifelike interaction has to happen in 100 millisecond. If you press a button, if it does not respond in 100 millisecond, it won't feel like lifelike. So that is where that 100 millisecond is coming from.
I've heard similar stuff about AI or ML trying to understand or speaking to you or transcribing notes. That if it is below 99% or 98% accuracy, it's actually dumb. I mean, you have to have that kind of an accuracy to strike a conversation or something, or even feel that it is useful. Good. So tell us more about the platform. I mean, I understand. I do angel investments and all that, and a lot of it, this COVID thing, everyone was getting their chance on being remote. And while being remote, the most effective way of doing anything, while we do not have this metaverse and everything, it's actually video. where you can see a bit of body language, where you can interact. I mean, it's like it's as closest to the physical experience as you can get over a video. So everybody was trying to do a video. I mean, you take an application of kind of doctor's appointment online. A lot of healthcare startups, they were trying to do that. You get into the fitness world. I'm in live sessions. You get into speaking world. You get into, so video was everywhere. So I mean, it was kind of a fortunate time for you to be starting a startup in a video space. But there were other startups like Zoom, not startups. There are other companies, established companies like Zoom, Google Meet, Facebook Live, other video infrastructure. So how you guys are different? What's your competition? And what are you doing differently that these guys are not doing and they cannot really do?
Thank you for asking that, UJ. I mean, so what we realized is, as you said, pandemic hit, everybody's business moved online, right? Be it ed tech, doctor, anything, right? Like every business moved online and they started using Google Meet and Zoom, right? But the problem with Google Meet and Zoom is that it's a link. And so let's say it's a doctor's app, right? So you will do the scheduling, you will pay the fees, blah, blah, everything, prescription. But when you have to meet the doctor, you click a link and then go outside your application. And that is what was creating the friction both for users as well as the product managers who were trying to.
So ideally, you do not want someone to move out of your environment.
Exactly.
And that link was taking you out of your application or business environment, so to say.
Yes, yes. And very simple problem. So let's say doctor and patient, right? Now, if I were owning that application, I don't even know whether the doctor joined on time, whether the patient joined on the time. There is no callbacks. There is no API integration where I can get to know all of this, right? I'll give you the link. Now it's up to that application. I don't even know the experience you had. Did you leave early? Whatnot, right? So to build all of this seamless experience, it has to be inside the application. Right. And that is what we provide, UJ. We basically provide the chassis under the hood things where we say it's your UI UX. So you modify the UI UX as per your needs and embed it inside your application, and rest of the things leave it to us. We will work just like Zoom in terms of quality, in terms of scalability, infrastructure, and everything. Leave it to us. You focus on the product.
No, I totally get what you're saying. And a lot of startups that I kind of advise work with, I mean, when they show me their products user experience, I mean, the sticking point was really that your experience is right now broken with this video out, and they try to do it with open source, sometimes video servers and whatnot, and try to build their own. I'm sure there must be other companies who are providing a similar SDK like experience, and I'm also sure that Zoom and other Google Meets of the world, they also see this as a potential space of making more money by giving this as an SDK or something. I mean, so what really made you the first one, or not, if not the first one, really made you think that this is the way to go? And why Zoom cannot really go back and just, while they're offering this complete platform, they can also give you their SDK to embed and have an embedded Zoom experience?
Yeah. Great question. It's like this, UJ. I mean, if Apple makes the best iPhone in the world, if they start selling the chipset, okay, can you still build the greatest iPhone? Right? So Zoom and Google Meet business model is different, I feel. Although Zoom has started providing SDKs, it is still very limiting, I would say. There are other players in the market. That there is a company called Twilio, which has started from SMS and communication. They do this. There is a company called Agora. They do this. Right?
We've used Agora's streaming service as well. So how you guys, I mean, are you guys another company in this competition space, or you guys are different in some way?
So the biggest principle we started, UJ, and there is a story on that also. So when we were in Hotstar, right? So we built a watch party product out of Hotstar because everybody was at home. People were not able to watch the match along with their friends in the stadium. So we built this watch party feature, and we built it using Agora. And it took us 4 months to build that product. And like, I had a stellar video engineering team, and still took us four months to build the product. And that was another trigger point. That why is it so complex?
Why it's so painful?
Why is it so painful, right?
Yeah.
So what has happened is the SDK companies are mostly like, I would say 7, 8 years old, right? Most of them do not take care of the developer experience, which the current age developers expect,
Okay.
right? So, and hence it is taking time for them to develop. That is what we are different in. We are promising that within hours, right? Or maximum 1 week, right? You will be able to go live in production, not just integrate
So
within 100 images.
you're kind of a low code, no code version of video. That's what I'm
Actually,
kind of.
actually, very interesting. We are not, right?
Okay.
So we're not a no code. We are fully flexible. We give the entire, like, you can build the entire UI yourself, and this comes from the fact that what does that 4 months? Where did you spend that
No, no,
4 months?
I was saying from the perspective that if I have, just to keep it simple for users, I mean, I'm sure you can go as complex as you want to be, but if someone is creating an app or something like using a low code, no code platform, and the video is a sticky point, they can just use their SDK and it will also be very easy to use. That's what I'm getting from you, that it can be very easy at one end of the spectrum and you can customize it and make it as can use it in any way that you want at the other of the spectrum. Is this right?
It's a little bit more on that. So, I mean, you are correct partially, a little bit more on that. The 4 months which we spend, UJ, out of that, I would say development time was only 1 month.
Okay.
The 3 months were spent in, oh, what happens on this phone? Oh, what happens in this kind of network condition?
Yeah.
Oh, what if 10 people join the call? Oh, what if I remove the headphone jack from my phone? Oh, there is echo, right? Oh, there are 100,000 rooms getting created. How do we handle the scale, right? So it's all those production things which SDK companies leave it to the application provider.
Okay. Okay.
This is
And
all of this is now packed in the SDK.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, Kshitij, we understand now the what you're providing. So, talk to us about a little bit, get a little deeper into the tech side of things, while keeping it a little easier for layman as well. That what you're building so differently in tech that others are not reaching at your point.
I wouldn't say that, like, others can reach at our point. I mean,
Or
obviously they spend time, but I'll tell you what we are doing differently, UJ. I mean, I think the biggest thing we are doing differently is the entire team has the strongest developer empathy,
okay.
right? So what we do is we try to figure out that it's not just video, it has other things also, right? So I'll give you an example. So imagine you are building a classroom, right? Where you say basically, you know, I should have the ability to have a small classroom where there could be 8-10 people. I should have the ability that if it goes beyond, let's say it becomes a 100 people classroom, then it should have different configuration. That means the teacher is kind of now mostly one-way communication, right? Or it could be even larger where you say, you know, I've got a star teacher, and it kind of converts into a webinar kind of format where there are like thousands of students can join, right? Now, in order to build this, if you use the traditional SDKs, thinking of all these, putting the business logic for all of this takes a considerable amount of time. The way we do it, UJ, is we have some concept of roles. We basically say, okay, you define the business logic using APIs on 100ms dashboard. You basically say, okay, there is a teacher, and teacher has XYZ permissions. You have a student has these permissions, right? Then you have a student, which is kind of in the student webinar. So the way you do it is teacher, student closed classroom, student webinar, right? So you define multiple roles and you define their permissions. And the business logic, as I said, is now taken care by the SDK. On the application side, what remains, application side says, okay, I want to join with this particular role.
Okay.
And the business logic is taken care by the SDK. This is what greatly reduces the amount of time you have to think of the business logic.
So you're essentially routing a situation or a scenario to appropriate infra or underlying kind of where you really want to host it and all that, so that it gives a seamless experience. Wonderful. So Kshitij, talk to us about what's your traction right now? I mean, when did you start and how the traction is coming along?
So we started in 2020 October, UJ. It took us almost like an year to develop the product, very complex product. So the first
how big is your team?
we're roughly around 50 people now.
And how many of them are engineers?
Roughly 35 engineers.
Okay.
Yeah. So first year was only engineers. We did not hire beyond like any marketing stuff or anything, right? First year was only engineers. Hiring video engineers is hard. So hired only engineers, built the product, took 1 year. We launched it in Product Hunt in kind of last year, August. Got a good response from the Product Hunt. Like developers were actually amazed that you are fully flexible, yet you are very easy to integrate, right? That was the key point. That was the key feedback we got. Since then, I would say now we already have like a double digit or a triple digit, actually, I would say, paying customers, right? And then there are like I would say thousands of customers who are right now trying to integrate with us. So there are actually, I would say, 3 phases of customers. There is a phase of the customer who discover us, use us free. There is a set of customers who start integrating, and then there is a set of customers who start paying us.
Right. So you have people at every part of the funnel right now.
Yeah, we have customers every part of the funnel.
So just talk to me about the pricing. I mean, it's sometimes it's very easy to integrate this platform or underlying infra as a service companies, and then even that is true even for Amazon. If you're not optimizing it correctly, I mean, your server bills balloon very quickly. I've seen this happening with Agora as well. That I mean, what they try to sell on the side is, I mean, it's on the face of it, it looks a few cents per kind of millisecond per second kind of a stuff, but it starts to accumulate very quickly. So how the pricing works, and because you are a startup yourself, you are an underlying infra company, and then probably some startup starts trying to use you as well. So they are also cash starved. Maybe they have a funding and they need to use that funding in a right way. You also have a funding and you cannot give everything for free. So how it's working out? I mean, how your pricing works, and can you give me an idea? Let's say if I have to stream 100 hours of video using your platform for X people, how it costs typically?
Yeah, sure. So pricing is also one very complex area where other SDK providers make it very complex. We have made it very, very simple, UJ. So it is still expensive, right? I would not say it's cheap. It's still expensive. So let's take the example of this one, right? So me and you talking for let's say 1 hour. We calculate something called a usage-based pricing. So if me and you talk for 1 hour, that is 120 minutes of usage. And we charge $4
for one person essentially you multiply. I mean, because we are 2 guys and we are talking for an hour, that is why it's 120 minutes. Had it been 3 people, it would have been 180 minutes, right?
Exactly. Right. And we charge $4 for 1,000 minutes, or you can also say $0.004 per minute, right? So 120 into 0.004 will be the cost for, let's say, this kind of scenario, right? That should come to like 48 cents, right? Now, same thing you were asking, let's say, imagine there are 100 people who are watching us. So for that, we have a different pricing. That product is actually in beta, so I cannot kind of reveal that pricing, but that pricing is much cheaper than this, because what we realized is a lot of people actually are off stage. They still want to interact, but they are not on the stage. They're off stage. So we now have built a product for the off stage part of it also, where they'll be charged a much lesser pricing than the people on the stage who will be paying.
Is it because when you and I are talking, it's a bidirectional, fully duplex kind of communication, versus you will have to stream one way for those guys, right?
Yes.
But, okay. But yeah, I think I can figure that out. So makes sense. So the pricing is, I think I really like the model. So it means that if I have a healthcare app, I can really, and my doctor has an appointment with one guy and they take like 30 minutes, I can really kind of calculate the actual money that is going to cost. and I can put it as a part of transaction fee or something within that. So I think that's a very intelligent kind of stuff. So talk to me about, okay, great. So the pricing is out of the way. So, and you have this traction coming in. I mean, where are you in terms of your funding stage and how this year looks like?
Yeah, so we recently raised our Series A, I would say, of a 20 million round. This round is mainly, I would say, for product development and reaching out to our audience or marketing or the GTM engine, right?
Yeah.
That is, these are the two main areas I would say we are spending money. Like, we don't have an office. 100 MS is our office. We don't spend like fancy travel and all that stuff, right? So most of our money is paying salaries. And how do we reach to our audience, the GTM part of it? So that's the kind of
your target market is, I'm sure, is a global, but is there any particular geography that you're targeting, and what's essentially your GTM?
So actually, it is global. I mean, in fact, right now we have customers in 5 continents. That's the great part of building this business, and I love that part. Our GTM strategy, UJ, is we are experimenting with a few things. We started with like a developer evangelization strategy where we are selling the hardest, or we are selling the key point which we think is what developers want, right? Like that with Agora it will take you 4 months, while with 100 MS it will take you much lesser, while you can build the same experience, right? So that's what we started doing, a lot of blogs, content, even these kind of online sessions, right? That is what, so we started with content. Now we are starting to invest in the SEM part of the like some kind of paid marketing also, because what we are realizing is that the bigger customers are those customers who are actually not in the thinking zone. They are in the zone who are already running their business on a competitor. And if we can kind of alleviate their pain, we can also grow faster. So that is the place where we are experimenting with now.
So when you say developer, are you targeting right now kind of indie developers or freelancers, or essentially the companies who have customers and building such kind of stuff?
Actually, we haven't done that. So right now, developer is just the video developer community. That is what we're trying to reach, right? But the angle of partnership, we have thought a lot that between the actual business and a company like 100 MS, there are system integrators or partners.
Like us, like even us. I mean,
we haven't explored that. I think it's a great strategy, UJ. I mean, love to learn from you.
No. So, and talk to me this about, let's say if I ask my engineers to start building on your platform, I mean, you are a small company at this point yourself. How great is your developer support? And let's say even if a mediocre, and we live in a real world, even if it's a less than ideal developer support, typically, I mean, there's one side of the thing where you can claim, but typically how long an average engineer would take to learn your platform and be able to integrate your product seamlessly into what they are building?
Usually this is where we excel, and there might be some overtones, right? But this is what we are all about, right? I have literally seen developers pick this up in days, because it's not video for them. It is this, let's say if you're a React web engineer knowing React, you don't have to learn anything. If you know web and React, you will be able to build a platform using this video inside web and React. And it is using your terminology, using the kind of the state machine which React uses and all that stuff, the callbacks and hooks. So it is not really video. That is what we're abstracting, right? So this is what we excel at, right? And in terms of how much developer support we give, UJ, every customer we have a private Slack channel with them. We work like a backend team for them. Literally reply in hours, right? I know your next question could be how will we scale, but we'll solve it when it comes, basically.
Okay, you'll cross the bridge when it comes. So one question. So let's assume I started integrating you relentlessly into some of my customers' applications, and even they are right now in their alpha. You are a startup, and we have seen, I mean, startup by definition is a risky business. While all my best wishes for you to grow and become the biggest video startup, but let's say for XYZ reason, it goes south. What will happen to my customer? What will happen to their customers? So, I mean, that is a very big question that when I have to integrate someone's infrastructure, their ongoing availability. I mean, I still remember. So Google was sending emails to people that now they are retiring their apps version, and everyone has to go paid. Or they said their photos will be free forever. Now everyone has to pay for them. I mean, even if they are not, they're, in my opinion, they're reneging on their promises. I mean, how would you give confidence to someone like me, or let's say I'm a system integrator, that you'll be there and you'll be there for my customers, even if things go wrong? I mean, nobody can give that guarantee, but I just want to hear it from you.
So that's a great question, Yuji. I mean, this keeps coming up, keeps troubling me also all night, right? But I think there are a couple of ways we kind of give that confidence, right? First of all, the way to give confidence is funding, right? With this $20 million funding, we are not going anywhere. Like, even if we don't make a single penny, we can easily stay here for 3 more years, right? We can pay our salaries. So 3 years, yeah. I mean, maybe not a huge time, but yes, this is 3 years, right? Then we basically show that
I would make your life easier. Then there is a cause and effect, because if you already have a burn rate, cash available for 3 years, if any of my customers' business goes north, essentially it's increasing usage of your SDK, which will bring you more revenue to you, becoming you more and more solvent.
Yeah. I'm taking the worst case here.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is the worst case, right? So worst case south, right? We are also thinking of, actually, we are based on open source, right? Right now, it's not open source, but we are also thinking of open sourcing it once we hit a milestone. Once we say, okay, these many X million minutes we have reached, we're actually very actively thinking of contributing back to open source the whole thing, right? We not finalized on this strategy, but we're thinking about it, right? And that also gives comfort to customers.
Which open source platform you took to build your SDK on?
We took Pion. So there is a open source project called Pion.ly. It's a Go based platform, amazing platform. So that is what we use, right? That actually, by the way, gives comfort to our customer, because it's a very like a vibrant community on the Pion. It's a very modern stack. When we tell them that we are based on Pion, we transparently tell them that we are based on Pion, right? We will be contributing back to it. And if we run out of business, like, you can hire us basically, right? Like,
Wonderful, Kshitij. So Kshitij, I'll just, I think it's a wonderful conversation with you. I learned a lot. I hope the people who watch this, they learn a lot. So wonderful, and all the really best wishes for your startup, 100 millisecond. I personally believe you're solving a real problem. I've seen this happening. In the COVID days, I was for angel funding, for early checks with a lot of startups who were in EdTech, healthcare space. Even if you're building new novel methods for remote teams to work together, you still need video. And yes, we had our painful moments of trying to integrate Zoom and Agora into such applications. So if you are really solving that problem, and you can solve that problem, I think you have solved a real problem. So congratulations over there. And I'm excited to even experiment with your platform. So great work, and enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Vijay.